So if you think about how most of us in sales and marketing too, grew up learning how to sell or market. Most of us, not all of us, but probably most of us, were taught that the job of a salesperson is to convince a prospect that you have a better way of solving a problem. So that was the, belief system I operated on. So I go throughout my early sales career just trying to get every prospect to realize that what they're doing is not good enough and I have a better way. That is, if you think about it again from a very human perspective, none of us really love to be sold to, right? So I use this analogy of when you go to the mall, you're walking through the mall, and there are those mall kiosk people that are like selling you phone cases or selling you, I don't know, hair straighteners, and you lock eyes with them. In that moment, we freeze and we often just look the other way or walk into a store or not because we don't need anything they're selling, just because we don't like to be sold to. And so if you pair that with how most of us were taught to sell, it's like I'm going out there and I'm trying to get someone to change their behavior. The problem or the flaw with that, and this is what I learned from Challenger that like has served me really well in my career. The flaw with that is people behave the way they behave. They solve the problem the way that they solve the problem because they have underlying beliefs and assumptions that dictate this is the right way to solve the problem. So those beliefs and assumptions can come from anywhere. They can come from, I went to a conference yesterday and someone I admire said this is the right way to solve the problem. So now I think it's the right way. It could come from at my previous company, this is the way I solved the problem. Hell, it could even just be an assumption. I remember that was wild to me when I first started selling, that sometimes people make decisions at a C level with just their gut and not even any data. That's the privilege they get. They get to do that.
Yeah.
So they have these beliefs and assumptions that dictate this is the best way to solve the problem. What I was making the mistake of doing is I was going in and attacking the behavior. Here's why your behavior isn't good. And if you buy this, you'll see a 10 times return of that, which means this is better. What I failed to appreciate is I first have to get someone to second guess their own beliefs and assumptions about their way that they're solving it right now. This is the role of cost of inaction. Cost of inaction is essentially holding up a mirror to your prospect's world and showing them a place where 1 + 1 = 3. And if you think about, again, very human behavior, we in all avenues of our life love holding up a mirror and looking at ourselves. So if anybody is a Spotify user, Alex, do you use Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay. If anyone's a Spotify user, at the end of the year, they do the like Spotify Unwrapped and it shows you your top favorite songs. And we all get excited to look at it. And some people post it. I don't know who actually cares about anybody else's favorite songs, but we care so much because we're like, look, these are my top 5 played songs. We were the ones that played them. We probably know this already, but there is something there about someone showing you your own behavior that is really, really eye-catching and people love it. So there's all sorts of examples. If you use a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, right? We love looking at our own data and understanding places where we might be costing ourselves and then, changing that behavior. But when I look back at myself as a salesperson, I was rarely doing that. I was rarely holding up that mirror to show someone that the way that they're currently solving the problem today, their status quo, there is a cost or a risk that is big enough to merit action. That is cost of inaction. It's not about if you buy this, then this magic happens. It is simply looking at current state and saying, there is a cost or risk associated with how you're solving the problem today. My job as a salesperson is to hold up the mirror. I do not get to convince prospects. Prospects convince themselves, but I can hold that mirror up and give them a way to look differently at their business, to have that shift in beliefs and assumptions.